My name is Ron Dorn, and the purpose of this presentation is to show you the Hawaii Lab Stage C Question 5, Task 5, that deals with plant succession in biogeography related to lava flows on the Big Island of Hawaii. It's best if I share my screen with you and then go to the PowerPoint that I prepared to explain. This is what the question is going to look like for you inside Canvas. You're going to be given 3 coordinates near to one another on the windward side of the Big Island or the rainshadow side of the Big Island. You're going to get questions on both. And they represent 3 stages in plant succession typically found on the wetter slope of the Big Island. Select the best match between location and that stage. So one in which a lava flow is brand new, less than 30 years. One that it's about 100 years old, and one that it's all rainforest after 700 years. The idea of forest succession is that in a place like Hawaii, a lava flow wipes out all the pre-existing vegetation. And so you begin to get changes to the initial lava flow surface over time. And it takes a lot of time before the rainforest will reestablish itself. So early on in the development, you begin to get things like lichens and mosses and ferns beginning to grow. And then you'll begin to get some saplings growing on the lava flow. And over time, more trees will establish themselves. The rock will begin to decay. You'll have a buildup of a soil to the point in which a whole rainforest can exist by 400 years if it's particularly wet, or 500 to 700 years if it's slightly a little bit drier. So this is what the forest succession looks like on the Big Island of Hawaii. So there are 2 different shots here of the lava flow that's about 150 years old. That's the upper image, where you're beginning to see some forest colonizing, where there's some lichen and moss growth. And what it looks like in the game is kind of a hodgepodge, slightly brownish color, maybe a little bit of a green in there. The historic lava flow is jet black, and the rainforest is dark green. So I hope you can see that you can put things in 3 basic color bins: jet black, the recent lava flow; dark green, the rainforest; and then the transition color, which has elements of a little bit of green and a little bit of kind of a tannish, purplish color in the Landsat image. But you're also going to go to the rainshadow side of the island, where you also get plant succession, changes over time to the vegetation, but the time scale of that change in plant succession is much longer. It's typically a historic lava flow, a 3,000-year, 2,000-year-old lava flow, and then older than 10,000 years. And this is what it looks like. The historic lava flows are very dark, very black, and they're very fresh looking. No matter whether it's the hoi hoi smooth lava flow or the crinkly lava flow. After about 3,000 years, you begin to get a color change where the lava is no longer jet black and it looks kind of on the reddish or brownish side. That's because the silica glaze has begun to coat the lava flow, and there's begin to be a little bit of vegetation growth. By 5,000 to 10,000 years, you're beginning to get some shrubs coming in, and there's more silica glaze. And by 10,000 years, there's been enough soil development to have sort of a shrubby, dwarf tree, mesquite kind of forest, but not really a forest, more like desert scrub vegetation. But it's a much longer time scale. And this is what it kind of looks like in the game. Again, you're putting into 3 different bins. There's the dark black historic lava flow. There's the lighter green mesquite, desert scrubland, and grassland. Those are the 2 extremes. And then there's the slightly lighter colored, brownish, maybe a little bit of a purplish tinge. Intermediate stage, where it might be 700 to 3,000 years old, where it's just silica glaze beginning to coat the lava flow and change its appearance in the Landsat scene. So this is a question that you'd see. And I hope you can visually determine that the dark black historic flow looks very different than the 110-year-old flow and very different than the 700-year-old rainforest flow. So you see, you get these processes. On the rainy side of the island, all this transition to vegetation state takes 400 to 700 years. But on the desert side of the island, it'll take 10,000 years to go through this entire shift. I hope you have fun exploring and studying the plant succession in a classic location where a lava flow obliterates the previous vegetation and it begins to reestablish itself. If you have any questions or issues, you can always schedule a Zoom appointment.